our first guest is Ryan McDonald. He has a podcast called NJ1ST. And he's going to tell you a little bit more about himself. I'm going to put on your speaker.
Sure.
Just because there's some people here that
Sure.
sometimes you not be able to hear us.
Hello everyone, thank you for letting me come out to you guys tonight, a great turnout. I first met Carrie when she was running for office. We had her on my NJ1ST podcast just to get the name awareness, and she was taking on the establishment machine, which I like to hear. Looks like this is We the People Flow, 3 different boroughs here, municipalities, that's great. And it's We the People, I assume that's grassroots, that's what I'm all about. I usually get criticism for taking on both sides, the Republicans and Democrats. I consider myself America first, through and through. So I like what I'm hearing right away. And you can probably tell I'm very young, 31 years old, 31 years young. And I graduated Rutgers University, I like to say a Marxist university, and for political science a decade ago in 2015. Yeah, I went through it. I'm born and raised in Warren County, New Jersey, so I induced myself with that culture shock to learn as much as I could, and boy did I learn. I like to tell people it took me 2 years to recover after college. So if you have any grandchildren that are in college right now, they're not going to be the same once they come out. They have to make a decision. Do they continue to be indoctrinated through society, or will they stand up? And I've decided to fight. So all the work that I did with NJ1ST, NJ1ST, it's bringing the America First brand of Donald Trump to New Jersey. I found that a lot of Republican, even conservative leaders in New Jersey didn't support Donald Trump when he needed them the most. They didn't support the policies of which they're supposed to be principled in. A bunch of stuff, and the rationale was, well, it's New Jersey. If you want to get elected in New Jersey, you have to change the way you talk. But again, I'm not about that. I'm about America first, and the way that I was raised is the way that I want my society and nation to be. I wish one day I have children to be like everyone here in this room. In 2020, I went to Scranton. Well, just to preface, I created a book. So the NJ1ST ebook, it's available for free for anybody. It's on my website, nj1st.com. And it's every month a journal entry from 2018 to 2020. 66 pages, 9 hours of video content. Basically the best book for New Jersey politics if anybody wants to run for office or be more well-versed of what we went through. I like to say we went through corporate fascism, communism with the COVID shutdown, with lockdown. So it's good to go back in time and look what we went through without, there's a saying, we have amnesia as Americans. Every 2 years we forget what we went through. After I wrote that book in 2020, I campaigned for Donald Trump in Scranton, Pennsylvania, hit 8,000 doors, very proud of that. In 2022, the Republicans from Florida hired me to go down there and work on a campaign. But still, my home state, where I put most of my resources, most of my effort in, Republicans would not take a chance on me. Until this year, we were able to primary in Congressional District 6, that's Middlesex and Monmouth County. We ran an America First candidate, Greg Neely. He primaried the NJGOP. He lost, and it was because of the line. And that's why I'm here today to speak to you guys. I'm sure you all know about the county line. You guys have been voting in New Jersey for a while. New Jersey is the only state in all of the country that has this county line. It's corrupt. I'm sure everybody here knows it. But I would like to go down the line of someone like myself, a millennial, my experience with the line, all the way up until today.
What is this line?
So the county line is the positions in which the ballot is structured. So every year when candidates are being chosen by the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, at the convention is when they choose who's going to be in this line. And the advantage of this line is you're underneath the president, if it's a presidential year, you're underneath the state senators, whoever is endorsed by the county parties. So before even the primary happens, there's this whole backroom deals going on in the conventions of the party to form this line. And again, this line, when you're looking on the ballot, straight down the line, it's only in New Jersey. It's not in any other state that they do this with the convention's endorsements. So it's prone to corruption. And that's what we found out this whole time. If anybody's been involved in the primary politics, you've understood that they kick you off the line. They don't primary. They don't primary. Republicans don't primary. This year, Democrats were the ones who primaried. This year, Democrats were the ones who stood up against the unconstitutional county line. And this year, Democrats had debates. Carrie, did you have debates this year? I don't know what's going on, but Democrats are active. Republicans get active maybe closer to November when it's more advantageous for them. So for the county line in your guys' district, Congressional District 5, if I'm not mistaken, there's two split here?
Yeah, it's
Well,
split.
okay.
Franklin Lakes and Oakland are 1, and Whitehawk is District 9. Gotcha.
Billy Prempe, District 9, I hope everybody's gonna vote for them. In Congressional District 5, that's where I was in my entire life. I got redistricted out of it. So from Bergen County all the way over to Warren County, Congressional District 5. So if you can remember in 2020, it was John McCann, who was actually from Oakland, I believe,
Yeah.
versus Frank Pallotta. I was with Frank Pallotta. Frank Pallotta was with Donald Trump. Frank Pallotta was with the America First conservatives. And I remember John McCann from 2018 didn't have a good debate performance against Josh Gottheimer and pretty much didn't put up a fight in 2018. If people remember, we had a Senate candidate, now the Republican chairman, Bob Hugin, who ran for Senate against Donald Trump in 2018. So a lot of stuff has changed throughout New Jersey, and now all of a sudden Jack Ciattarelli supported Donald Trump, Bob Hugin supporting Donald Trump. Things have flipped back and forth. But in 2020, you guys were able to defeat the line in Bergen. Frank Pallotta defeated John McCann in 2020. In 2022, Nick DeGregorio as well was endorsed by the Bergen County Republican Committee, and Frank Pallotta defeated them. This is the line that we're talking about. And if anybody doesn't know, just go online, look it up, and there'll be articles and articles. The reason why this really doesn't matter too much anymore is because the Democrats just threw it out. That was in the whole news for this entire year. That, again, I said the Democrats were the ones who held debates. The Democrats were the ones who held primaries. The Democrats were the ones who went against this corrupt, unconstitutional county line. Now, kind of tongue in cheek, because Andy Kim rode that county line his entire life. These elected officials take the county line when it's in favor of them, but now he's against it. So they had a whole lawsuit to throw it out. The person who's in charge of structuring the formation of these ballots is the clerk. So the clerks are the ones who can change it. Every clerk decided to change it for the Democrats and keep it for the Republicans this year. This is the biggest news in New Jersey politics. It's against the 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause. It's unconstitutional. But there was one county clerk that decided, you know what? I know that the county has the highest level, especially in New Jersey, of power through the sheriff, through the freeholders, which are now called commissioners. The Burlington County clerk decided, I'm not going to do it for Republicans. I'm going to allow them to have a free and fair election this year in the primary. So he did it. The Republicans sued her to try and keep the line. The Republicans tried to sue every single county clerk to make sure that they were keeping the line. Morris County, over where I'm at, they sued, or they entered the lawsuit to make sure that the Republicans kept their line. So I'm here today to tell you guys that I do not support that line. It negates America First conservatives, it negates independence, it does not allow free and fair elections. And it's corrupt. We're the only state in the nation that has had it, and we're getting rid of it next year, hopefully. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say with the county line, and wanted to speak on it, of how unfair it is, and that it's going to change, so New Jersey politics is going to change. Now, the good stuff. So we had the America First Republicans, Mike Crispy, if you guys all know his name, over in Montclair. The chairman of the Republican Montclair Committee, Michael Byrne, he is the chairman of the America First Republicans. Him and Mike Crispy, this whole entire year, have been leading the conservatives, leading for Donald Trump in New Jersey, starting off by getting him on the ballot. They were able to do that. And then the next thing was to make people aware of the county line issue. A little late, if you ask me, but they still did it and earned my respect. At the Seat at the Table New Jersey event, Mike Crispy gave a great speech outlining this county line that I'm referencing and how corrupt it is. And at the end, they filed their lawsuit. America First Michael Beer from Montclair, Mike Crispy, and America First candidates filed a lawsuit to try and make a stance in New Jersey to say that they don't support it. Again, because just this year, Republicans were not on the right side of history. They were saying they supported the county line. So I have to give it a hand to Mike Crispy, Mike Casey, Michael Beer, the America First Republicans for at least trying and making an attempt. Now interactive, of course.
What's the alternative to the county line? I mean, you have to list people's names, so how is it listed without a county line? How do they list the candidate?
So,
And they would want it.
and this year the Democrats showed how their ballot structure is as well. It's by the position of the office that they're running. So whoever is running for Senate, you have the names there listed and you choose. Whoever's running for Congress, you have the names there listed and choose. As opposed to today, whoever's listed in the line, that all the candidates are underneath this one line, it looks like a huge group. Everybody's in the group. Why is everybody in this one group and nobody's not in the group? It's because they're endorsed. So everybody's being emailed and told, don't vote anybody candidate, vote straight down the line. Stay in line because the other people are bad. They don't tell you why they're bad. They're conservative, they're America First, they support Donald Trump. But don't waver from the line. So every time you get your ballot, there's one line that has every candidate in there running for office. The new ballots will have it so there is no straight single line, it's grouped. So it's less affiliated. In my opinion, now the battle will be slogans. Who's going to be on with the same slogan? Because if you notice on your ballot, it'll either say Bergen County Republican Organization or Bergen County Republican Regular Party or America First Republicans or MAGA Trump Republicans. Now I believe the next fight will be a slogan.
You have to know more. In other words, the other way, you didn't have to think, the line was all Republicans or whatever, right? And then.
Correct, but in New Jersey, we're finding all the Republicans in that line might have came from the Democrats 5 years ago, which they bring
How
their.
could they do that?
We had a great movement of Donald Trump converting Democrats to become Republicans.
You know what, everybody? Remember the old days?
Yep, no longer the old days.
They can confuse you purposely.
Right. But for the ballot going forward, still, it's just for the Democrats. So the Republicans still have this old way of just voting down the line, that same old way. Ask me, a younger millennial, first time I voted was for Donald Trump. You're not gonna get me to vote for someone who's taking my taxes, a Republican that's taking my taxes. I'm sure no one here would do that too, okay? So I'm a newer voter. I don't wanna vote straight down the line. I wanna look into the candidates. I wanna ask them questions. I want them to answer me. I don't wanna just vote down the line and be like, I trust the
You're asking
Republican.
everybody to be bright and learn
I
what
understand.
each person is doing. Never happened, guys.
Hey, I understand the way the voter, you're right, that it's hard to get the voter to be educated and
Younger
informed.
people especially.
Younger people especially, I understand. But again, thank you so much for letting me come speak with you guys and express my point of view. But now, what do we have? We have Michael Crispy, the America First Republicans, who have garnered all of these contacts from people who want to volunteer. And let me tell you, volunteering is better than paid consultants, better than paid door knockers, people who have a vigor and heart to actually help America. So they're gonna use that, and he's gonna try and flip New Jersey. That's the big task for him to do, to get these 14 electoral votes for New Jersey. Obviously, Pennsylvania is the battleground state. That is where it is more of a chance for Trump to get those electoral votes. But Mike Crispy, again, I gotta give them a hand to them. They're trying in New Jersey, and I believe maybe Nixon? I don't know the last time a Republican won New Jersey at federal level, but there was one election, Nixon, where he won the entire country, basically, all went red. I'm sure people know.
Question.
So it can happen
From
in
what I
New Jersey.
understand, that the last election, the gubernatorial election,
Okay.
300,000 Republicans did not vote. Is that true?
Yeah.
Are we doing, is there any way, we know who they are we doing anything about getting those 300,000 people to vote?
Don't have to. After this
So-
weekend, don't have to.
The way that they're gonna be doing it now is in trying to get the vote by mail and early vote, which is the Democrat play. We have to play their game if we wanna win, even the ballot harvesting. And it wasn't only just that, but also I know so many people, so many, hundreds of people who told me they did not vote in November, staunch, conservative, completely pro-life, completely the Second Amendment. They did not support Jack Ciattarelli. Unfortunately, we can't afford to do that. Again, we went through communism, guys. And we're still suffering through some of it, so we can't really pick and choose Republicans. I've come to, like how you said, voting down the line, you have to trust sometimes. I'm there, I'm with you on that, but I still look into the candidates. So for the America First Republicans, they're gonna be still around all the way to 2025. I have a feeling Mike Crispy's even gonna run in 2026. Chris Smith probably is not going to be around much longer. But there was an article yesterday. David Wildstein of the NJ Globe is giving us the responses and I guess what happened in the convention, the Republican National Convention that just happened. If you guys don't know, that they tried to elect the delegates secretly. A couple months ago, Bob Hugin, the leader of the Republican Party, tried to host a secret election where they would elect the delegates. For when you guys vote, if you guys are Republicans, you vote on your ballot, you chose who you want to send to the RNC this year. And the person who got reelected as the national RNC chair of New Jersey, Bill Palatucci, he did not vote for Trump. He was the only one who didn't vote for Trump just yesterday. When Michael Testa, you might have seen him in the news, projecting and telling everybody that New Jersey cast 12 delegate votes for Donald Trump. Bill Palatucci, the leader of New Jersey Republican Party, he was not one of them. Which leads me on to 2025, John Bramnick. John Bramnick is not going around. People know his name, obviously. He's been around forever. He's been promoted, never primaried. Again, this county line and the primaries. John Bramnick is someone who I think should be primaried. He does not have a good reputation, if you ask me. The latest thing would be him talking about Donald Trump in January 6th, calling him an insurrectionist, saying that he's not allowed on the ballot. And he's going to be running in 2025 for governor, and he's not, it's not like he doesn't have a shot, because it's a primary. But if you ask me, the only two contenders in next year's Republican primary is Bill Spadea and Jack Ciattarelli. Jack Ciattarelli didn't simmer his campaign. He got even more momentum. And Bill Spadea is ready for the challenge. I could speak so much more about all that stuff, but there's also one other big name who's entered the gubernatorial primary for Republicans next year. That's Ed Durr. And he is the one who infamously got the Trump endorsement in 2021, has a lot of name recognition, has a lot of volunteers. So it's going to be a big battle next year in 2025. Unfortunately, the primary this year, like I was talking about this whole time, was neglected because people are already looking at 2025. That happened as early as January of this year. New Jersey is not in play for 2024, so they're looking at 2025. And I don't want to take up many of your time and ramble and rant, but I have the NJ1ST podcast where I upload and rant all the time to give you guys as much information as possible. I drive up and down the state, and I'd be happy to take any questions that you guys have.
I just want to say something. I don't know why, to this day, they still talk about January 6th. The whole thing was fixed. And we know it for the people that were in prison for 1 year, who said they were agitators that were there. And when they asked Nancy, when Trump had asked Nancy Pelosi to have 10,000, more cops and people, she said, oh no, there won't be any problems or anything like that. And in that crowd, in front of the White House, they had every people from the Democrat Party nudging and encouraging the people to what do you call it, whatever they were doing. It was all fixed, and we're still talking about that he did, it's sick.
Exactly, 2024, and I still have to deal with, unfortunately, Republican leaders in the state of New Jersey who are pushing this narrative. And
It makes
it's not the
no
majority at
sense.
all. It's
It
like,
makes you
it's a
feel
very,
like-
very small percentage, but it's the leaders.
It-
So, and, you know, I'm sure the butting of the heads of an older Donald Trump and an older New Jersey Republican leader, they probably know each other from back in the day, right? Trump in New Jersey, but I'm young. Any other
And guys are
questions?
still in prison, and they did nothing. They are in prison to this day.
They didn't receive any.
That's to
And-
shut us down. That's to shut everybody down.
That's right.
Scare you.
It's to scare you. Yeah,
Stay in
scare
line,
you.
stay in line.
They'll come to
You
your
know what?
house.
I'm ready to fight, guys.
Like Donald Trump
And
said.
age is just a number. Because pretty soon, they're gonna be controlling everything, including us. And I mean.
Started
it's-
COVID. They were testing you in COVID.
Dry run.
See how far they can push you.
And they can
And so
very
many
far.
people.
So, you know, I know you said before that, and even Lauren said it, that people kind of just tend to vote straight down the line. If I'm not mistaken, and I think I remember this, it's something like 40%. So you have a 40% better chances of being voted if you are on column one.
I think it's even higher.
I think,
I would think it was fine, too.
I think it's around 40-something%, but I went down a little bit. But, you know, and I get it, Florence, there's a lot, you know, you don't want to take the time to look up every candidate and, you know, take time to get information about them. But you also, nowadays, you also just can't blindly vote down the line anymore, even if you're a Republican, because you have to, if there's two, you know, if there's 2 lines, if there's 3 lines or whatever, you have to look up every person and see which one is gonna be the best for your town, for your county, for your state, for, you know, the country. You can't just vote blindly anymore, which I know, you know, a little bit older people have a tendency to be like, just vote down the line, just vote down the line. And when I was walking, you know, I went door to door walking a lot, and that's the first thing that people said to me, you Republican? Yep, I'm voting down the line, you know, but I was like, no, I'm Republican, but I'm online too. So, you know, it's just, you know, it's just making people aware that there are conservative, good people on the other lines as well.
I want to mention the iVoter guide. I was a panelist on that last year, and they do a lot of research even for, you know, our districts. It's not
Right.
just presidential race or Senate, or it's even the districts.
Definitely, and my candidate that I was working with this year, they got contacted by iVoter Guide, so there are companies who do the work for you. So it's like, in a sense, down the line, but they're explaining to you why they're supporting this candidate. So yeah, that's a good point.
I looked it up, it was George Bush Senior, 1988.
Was the last time
New
Jersey
Jersey.
won? Ah, okay. Interesting. But there was one time, I forget, maybe after, I keep thinking it's Nixon, where the whole entire country
Yeah, it
went
was
red.
the second
Was it
time, he
Reagan?
only lost Minnesota because that was the state
For which president?
that his opponent was from.
What, really? Okay.
He got 49 of the 50 states.
Mhm.
But he was a fool. He spent all the money on him. He didn't help his fellow people in Congress. And at the time, he lost 37 House positions. And these new people came in and they were hungry for fame and glory. And suddenly Watergate came up and they were after him like, you know, because he didn't support his own people. And actually, if you even go back, if you could see some of the commercials, he didn't even broadcast that he was Republican. It would say vote Nixon, and it didn't say
Right.
paid for by the Republican Party. He just, you know, was riding on the glory of making the deal with China at the time, because that screwed the Russians.
There's documentaries made of that exact instance where there are so many Republicans that took advantage of that to gain leadership and kick out the Nixon Republicans and a new kind of Republican came. Pretty interesting.
But I have a question.
Yes, of course.
When you say down the line, you mean that at the top of the ballot, it might say Republican, and you're saying straight down, and then there's another column that says John Doe Party.
So, and Carrie can confirm, but the columns, I believe it's A, B, C, D. and they are determined sometimes by a coin flip. But the line is a group of candidates that have said, no matter where we appear on the column, whether or not it's A, B, C, or D, we're gonna stay together. So once they find out what column they're in, they go around and tell everyone, vote down the line, column 4. When Carrie was on column 2, and she only had 2 candidates. Not
Yeah.
2 candidates, rather than President Trump,
Right.
the Congress underneath, Senate underneath, then the commissioner underneath, and council underneath. All those, all the way from president down to local are on this one line. And Carrie was by herself. So everybody looked at Carrie and said, who's Carrie? She's not with Donald Trump.
And this is for a primary.
Right.
So we're not talking about the general election. We're talking about a primary where the Republicans are going against each other
Yes.
to see who would get the most votes.
So they rigged it so Carrie didn't even have a shot, because a lot of people have a tendency just to vote down the line, not even look into the candidate, just, yeah.
I just have another resource recommendation. It's called NJ Stands Up.
Yes, of course.
Google, and they, if you get their emails, they endorse candidates, especially on health freedom, you know, their stance on mandates and everything that we went through. So NJ Stands Up. They'll also, so they'll give you profiles of candidates. They'll, you know, have you take action. You know, it's so easy when an issue comes up. I don't know if it makes a difference, but you know, you can send your letters to your representatives if you don't want things that are going on in the schools or et cetera.
Hillary, Jersey, I believe. And I met Maria, but they're actually widespread. As much as Moms for Liberty is spreading, you're seeing them pop up. NJ Stands Up is as well, just as active.
They've moved legislation, they've had an impact. Like,
I
it's
agree.
just a matter of getting more and more people, you know, they have some influence.
It's just unfortunate technology age, but I'm seeing a lot more people learning. But yes, NJ Stands Up is a great resource as well.
When you say the line, shouldn't all the ballots be the same? Some are this way, some are this way. Aren't all the ballots supposed to be the same in the state of New Jersey, or does it go by counties?
It goes by county,
Oh, okay.
but you're never going to have a county that wavers away from the group of people.
No, that I understand.
But this year we saw it happen in Burlington County.
I see.
So there's sometimes, but she's in trouble. So you can change the way that your ballot looks, and it's all up to the clerk. And it gets tricky when you're adding a question onto it, so a ballot question, a public question. But for instance, in Sussex County, we added a public question to enforce the sheriff to cooperate with ICE and deport illegal immigrants. Sussex County is the only county, I believe it's right next to you guys, right? Is the only county in the entire state that deports illegal immigrants. It's because we did it. We were able to put that on the ballot. We worked with the clerk, and when we submitted it to the state, they sent it back and said, we don't like the way you sent your ballot. The clerk sent it back and said, I don't care. This is what we're doing. And that's how it is. And the reason why she can do that is because New Jersey has a revolutionary culture, a revolutionary law. It's called the Home Rule Law, meaning the sheriff is president of the county. And the person who enforces the sheriff is the now commissioners, was for the freeholders. But the local county is the law of the land, if you ask me. If you ask me, but Constitution is, obviously. Yes, ma'am.
How do the clerks get their job?
They are elected. So it's, again, for another instance would be in Mercer County. If anybody remembers the last 2 elections, their voting machines went down. So many people disenfranchised in Mercer County. Well, that's the clerk's fault, if you ask me. So it's our job as voters to make people aware of who's going to be on the ballot and that these clerks are elected and they're in charge of our election process. A step further would be the Board of Elections, but the clerk is the elected official that has the last say.
Is their title just clerk, or is it like John Doe something, you know, county
County clerk.
county clerk? That's the name, that's the official name.
And the one clerk specifically that was a Republican clerk in Monmouth County, probably the most powerful clerk in New Jersey. What's her name? Hanlon, Christine Hanlon. She was the one supporting that county line the hardest. But very, very powerful position, the county clerk, and it's elected, yes. Yes, miss.
In Wayne, in his primary that we just had, they had a major error on their ballot. They're supposed to have 2 districts. The same names appeared, the same candidates' names appeared for both districts. And it would have not come to anyone's attention except that I had prepared a pro-life voter guide and sent it out, and friends sent it out. And a man in Wayne caught the fact that my guide had different names than what he had on his sample ballot. So he called the county clerk, and then she said, oh, there's an error. And this was going on even during early voting. They didn't make any correction until election day for the primary.
Wayne, huh?
So you have to check when you get your sample ballot. Please check to see those names, if they match what's in the iVoter guide or the Ballotpedia, to see if there's any error.
And in Congressional District 10, I believe Essex County, Congressman Donald Pate Jr., he passed away. He still got elected, still got the primary. And people laughed at that, but again, that's on the county clerk. They went through this whole thing, we're gonna have this special election, we're gonna have all this and this, but if he passed away, it's not that hard to just change the name on the ballot, but it would have changed the whole Democrat strategy, and you can't do that. Any other questions? Thank you so much, everybody, for giving me your time. Thank you. Follow online, social media, NJ1ST, and my name is Ryan McDonald. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.